educational system demands equality of education.
Is India's education system politicized?
Education is controlled by the political system.
Prominent politicians cutting across political lines
Are we really serious about educating our citizens?
presented their views on this issue at the Think Edu Conclave organized by the New Indian Express.
Our present education system lacks vision and direction.
Our educational system has primarily to be based on our constitution, the constitution of a very diverse country. Today's 21st century demands equality of education, which was not required even 60 years ago. It requires skill education, skill development. It requires higher education, which leads to innovation, suiting our own country. It requires character and moral building, which can bring a better nation, we can build a better nation, and can also build better citizens who can get jobs. We have to have an education which is beneficial not only to the individual who is being educated, but also to the society, to the nation. So we have to, each one of us, see what we can contribute. We can make it the best education system in the world. It was. And I would only end with this prayer, that we should not politicize education. We should make it in accordance with the tenets of our constitution till our education system is able to come out as the Indian education system.
In our democracy, which is a vibrant democracy, the political system has to lead the society. The youth of today will be the leaders of tomorrow. What type of culture, what type of morality we are breeding in them is the concern of all of us. The education is controlled by the political system. And in our federal government, we have got centers and states being headed by different parties. And on issues which go to the root of the national development, national growth, we have to have one voice. And I would say that we should not look at using the education system for our political ends and political gains.
I want to interpret the subject before us in a very different and in a very positive way. Specific legislations and policy initiatives such as the Right to Education Act, in my view, have been truly game-changing interventions in our society. They have the ability and hold the potential to not only help us build a more equal and egalitarian society, but also to harness the potential of our young children by giving them an assured entry into a schooling system that will develop their innate talent. This will not have been possible without a political ownership of the entire enterprise of education. Unless there's state intervention in education, it's not possible to take education to the last Indian in the last village in the country. Politicization is thus not necessarily a bad thing, but I believe it reflects the maturing of a phenomenon to a point where politicians and formal politics find it impossible to ignore the phenomenon.
Are we really serious about educating our citizens? Or our intention is to just get a brand? If you look at last 65 years, has education been a priority, or has the governments put in the amount of funding into the education sector? What is actually happening is we are creating uneducated literates. Can't we give one to his major budget allocation to actually produce quality manpower? If you do not create quality education and a system mechanism to check quality education, you're going to create a monster which is going to actually start attacking the system.
The politicization of education at the rulers' whims and fancy has been a common practice all around the globe. In India, education system was always autonomous, free from state control. We have shining examples of universities like Nalanda and the Takshashila, which were self-reliant and capable of generating its resources 1837 marked the beginning of the process of politicization of education in India. The British rulers established 3 universities. Mahatma Gandhi always wanted an education system which upheld the age-old cultural values of the country. When India became independent in 1947, Gandhian legacy and thought were not celebrated properly by those in power. They believed that the Western education was the only available option to transform a backward and illiterate India into a modern and progressive nation. Our present education system lacks vision and direction. This hollowness creates a sense of confusion and disillusionment among students. Due to rampant politicization and commercialization of our educational system, the focus has shifted from character building to making students suitable for job market. Our educational system should be guided by 3 objectives. First, character building. Second, nation building. Third, skill development. If we can accomplish these goals, India is destined to make its mark in this world.
I am coming from a state where education is completely politicalized. At the same time, the quality of education which we are having, we are lacking. 2 areas where politics is taking place in large scale. Number 1, curriculum and syllabus. Number 2, the university administration, the academic part. The government should desist from interfering into the academic issues and academics.
In India, particularly in political circles, economic policy is talked about a lot. About education, we've never heard any such thing. I'm fond of books. Got hold of a book by Amartya Sen. The greatest stress in that book was that if India is to become a great country, it must concentrate more attention on education and healthcare. And I think that is the reason why education and educational institutions must be thought of by political people who really can contribute to the shaping of India's future. Politicians are spoken about lightly these days, though it is unfair. Unfair because if there is a decline in ethics in any society, every section is affected. It is not any one particular section which is affected. But in a democracy, it is the politician who is always in the limelight. And because of this fact, in a democracy, the average citizen comes to feel that he is the culprit. He is the root cause of all the problems today. In fact, I have often been telling my own party colleagues, I said that the principal task before every person in public life, in politics, is to contribute to changing this image of the average politician. And therefore, once again, I would like to emphasize that the objective of education in the country should be to see that every citizen becomes a person who is a patriot, who is a man of character, and who can exercise control over his emotions.
The first day of the Think Edu Conclave saw stalwarts present interesting insights on India's education sector, setting an absorbing prelude to Day 2. Keep watching this space for the second episode.